Earth had always been a quiet, small blue planet in the vast galaxy. From afar it looked fragile, like a tiny jewel floating in an endless sea of stars. The humans who lived on it were busy with their daily lives, focused on work, school, family, and survival. They laughed, they dreamed, they argued, and they created things. Yet they had no idea that eyes far beyond their world were watching them, judging them, and even fearing them. Across the galaxy, in places humans could not imagine, powerful species held council meetings. These gatherings were not like human parliaments. They were vast, complex, and filled with beings of every imaginable shape and form. Some were enormous, towering over entire rooms. Others were small, delicate, and almost invisible to the naked eye. Despite their differences, these species shared one thing in common: influence and power. They had conquered planets, discovered incredible technologies, and built civilizations that lasted thousands of years. To them, Earth was just another world, small, untested, and somewhat reckless. The council convened to discuss a pressing matter. Earth had begun sending signals into space. Its humans were experimenting with technologies that could someday allow them to travel to other planets. They had launched satellites, probes, and even experimental spacecraft. For the alien species, this was dangerous. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and clever in ways that no one fully understood. During the debates, representatives argued fiercely. Some were frightened by humans' curiosity and potential. They could disrupt the balance of the galaxy, warned a tall, silver-skinned species whose eyes glowed like coals. Their technology is growing faster than we anticipated. If we wait too long, they could challenge our dominance. Others were more irritated than afraid. They consume too much, hissed a being made of shifting crystal. They destroy their own world with reckless energy use. We cannot allow such waste to continue unchecked. Resources that belong to the galaxy could be claimed by them if left unsupervised. Hours passed as arguments echoed through the massive council chambers. Some representatives proposed monitoring Earth quietly for a few more decades, hoping humans might calm down or destroy themselves naturally. Others insisted that immediate action was required. "We must vote," said the oldest being in the council. Its voice resonated like deep thunder, carrying weight that silenced the room. The vote was held. Every species was present, casting its decision with precision and authority. When the final tally came, it was unanimous. Earth would be enslaved. It was not an immediate attack, not yet. First, they would prepare, study, and plan. But the verdict was clear. The council had decided that humans, with all their ingenuity and unpredictability, could not be allowed to continue freely. Meanwhile, life on Earth carried on completely unaware. In crowded cities, children ran through streets chasing after balls and kites. Farmers tended to fields with care, unaware that distant stars were deciding their fate. Scientists worked in labs studying biology, physics, and technology, oblivious to the interstellar vote that had just taken place. People dreamed of simple joys, music, friendship, and adventure. They laughed, cried, and argued as humans always had. And yet, above their heads, the galaxy had begun to shift its gaze upon them. In classrooms, teachers explained the history of Earth, the rise of civilizations, and the exploration of space. Young students listened, imagining rockets and satellites, thinking about the stars as far-off mysteries to explore someday. Little did they know, those stars were already sending back answers, decisions, and judgments about their world. Some humans were beginning to notice strange things. Astronomers pointed to anomalies in satellite images. Unexplained flashes of light appeared in the night sky. Small disruptions in communication networks puzzled engineers. But these signs were subtle, easy to dismiss, and no one could have guessed their true meaning. Most humans continued life as normal, unaware of the looming shadow of interstellar scrutiny. In the council chambers, preparations began. Detailed reports were written about Earth's population, technology, and defenses. Every species sent scouts and spies to observe humanity. They studied humans' strengths and weaknesses, noting their creativity, adaptability, and emotional depth. While humans were unaware, The galaxy had become a giant classroom where Earth's inhabitants were the subject of intense study. Despite the serious tone among the council, there were debates about ethics. Some representatives hesitated, questioning the morality of enslaving an entire planet. "Do we have the right?" whispered a being whose form shimmered like liquid glass. "They have no idea what awaits them. Are we not interfering with natural progress?" But the majority dismissed such concerns. The vote had been cast and action would follow. For countless species, fear and caution outweighed moral debate. Humans, unpredictable and rapidly evolving, were considered too dangerous to leave unchecked. The council agreed to a strategy of careful, controlled domination. It would be precise, calculated, and unrelenting. Back on Earth, life continued with its ordinary rhythm. People worried about small things, traffic jams, work deadlines, school exams, and family disputes. Cities buzzed with energy and motion. Forests whispered in the wind. Oceans lapped peacefully against shores. In every corner, humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware that the galaxy had just voted to enslave them. Yet, this very ignorance was part of humanity's unique charm. They lived with resilience, curiosity, and a stubborn persistence. They faced natural disasters, social challenges, and personal struggles with determination. Even as the galaxy plotted against them, humans continued to thrive, unknowingly preparing themselves for the test that lay ahead. The first part of this story is not about conflict or heroism. It is about contrast. It is about the small, ordinary planet that caught the attention of beings far beyond its reach. It is about humans, busy with life, unaware that the universe had decided their future. And it is about a council of advanced species, confident, in their judgment, preparing for a challenge they believed would be simple. In the quiet hours of night under starlit skies, Earth spun on its axis. People dreamed of the future, of exploration and invention, not knowing that their fate had already been decided. The vote had been cast. The plan was set. And the galaxy, vast and endless, watched, waiting for the moment when humans would finally notice that their lives were about to change forever. Life on Earth continued with its usual rhythm, but subtle changes began to appear. At first, they were small and almost unnoticeable. Satellites that had always been reliable began to flicker and fail. Television broadcasts occasionally cut out, and communication signals became weak or distorted. Engineers and scientists worked frantically to understand the problem, assuming it was technical faults or natural interference. Yet no one realized that these disturbances were the first signs of something far greater. In the skies, strange lights began to appear. At night, people noticed unusual patterns that did not match the stars. They shimmered in colors no human could name and moved with precision that no aircraft or satellite could achieve. Many dismissed them as atmospheric anomalies, meteor showers, or experimental drones. Some were fascinated and took photos, sharing them online. A few people felt a chill down their spine, sensing something unfamiliar and unknowable. Governments were the first to truly realize the danger. Military officials noticed that weapon systems and radar equipment were acting strangely. Defensive satellites misfired, and automated drones suddenly lost connection with their operators. In labs and control rooms, people argued about what could be causing it. Some suspected cyber attacks, while others feared natural disasters or secret experiments. But the truth was beyond any human imagination. Alien fleets were positioning themselves around Earth, observing and testing. Despite these warnings, humanity's initial reaction was disorganized. Different countries pursued different strategies. Some sent reconnaissance missions to investigate the lights in the sky. Others increased surveillance and communication monitoring. A few attempted to warn the public about potential dangers, but their messages were dismissed as paranoia or exaggeration. Most humans went about their daily lives, oblivious to the growing shadow over their world. Scientists became increasingly curious and concerned. Astronomers analyzed the anomalies, noting patterns that could not be explained by natural phenomena. Satellites were being disrupted in ways that required intelligence and precision. Engineers saw technology behaving as if guided by unseen hands. Slowly, a realization began to form among a few sharp minds. Something beyond Earth was interfering. The notion of aliens was considered, but few believed it seriously. Humanity had only imagined extraterrestrial life as distant and peaceful, not as an active force threatening their world. In the meantime, humans began experiencing strange phenomena at a personal level. Communications through phones and the internet often failed. Drones, vehicles, and machines malfunctioned unexpectedly. Some people reported seeing faint silhouettes in the sky, glimpses of massive shapes that could not be identified. Social media exploded with discussions and theories, ranging from government experiments to global conspiracies. But still, the majority of humans went about their routines, unconvinced that anything truly extraordinary was happening. In the council chambers across the galaxy, observers watched these human reactions with interest. The aliens were testing humanity's resilience and adaptability. They did not want to destroy Earth immediately. They wanted to see how humans would respond. Reports came in. Humans were anxious, fearful, and confused. Yet they were beginning to organize. In some places, local communities shared information and resources, working together to understand what was happening. In others, scientists collaborated internationally, attempting to solve the technological disruptions. Despite the efforts of humans, the aliens began to escalate their tests. Large ships appeared above major cities, hovering silently. Their presence was overwhelming, massive structures that blocked sunlight casting shadows over thousands of people. The ships did not attack, but their sheer size and precision were intimidating. Panic spread through communities, especially in urban areas where millions lived in close quarters. Traffic jams, evacuations, and crowd control became serious challenges. Governments tried to maintain calm, but the scale of the situation was unprecedented. Emergency meetings were held, and communication networks became overloaded with warnings, instructions, and contradictory reports. Some people fled their cities, seeking safety in rural areas. Others stayed, determined to observe or document the strange events. In every corner of Earth, people felt the weight of an invisible hand watching, testing, and waiting. Amidst this growing fear, a small group of humans began noticing patterns in the disturbances. They observed that the anomalies were not random. They followed schedules, reacted to human actions, and adjusted when humans adapted. This suggested intelligence behind the interference. Scientists, engineers, and thinkers came together, forming teams to study these patterns and predict the next moves. They began sharing their findings in secret networks, spreading knowledge quietly to avoid mass panic. As days turned into weeks, human adaptability became more evident. Communities learned to anticipate disruptions. Engineers developed alternative communication methods using backup systems that the anomalies could not easily affect. Scientists created tools to analyze the energy patterns of the lights in the sky. Ordinary citizens contributed by sharing observations and helping maintain order in their neighborhoods. Humans were responding with creativity, resilience, and collaboration, traits that surprised the alien observers. For the first time, some members of the council began to question their assumptions. Reports indicated that humans were learning faster than anticipated. They were not panicking in total chaos as the council had expected. Instead, humans were finding solutions, innovating, and protecting each other. Some aliens whispered to each other, expressing disbelief. Perhaps humanity was not as weak as they had assumed. Perhaps Earth would not be an easy conquest. Despite the doubt, the aliens continued their tests. They deployed larger ships, more advanced disruptions, and subtle psychological pressures. Yet humans adapted each time, turning every obstacle into a lesson. Schools and universities became unexpected centers of research and coordination. Families helped each other survive technological failures. Communities found strength in unity, proving that humans were unpredictable in ways that even advanced species could not fully anticipate. By the end of this period, the balance had shifted slightly. Humanity had not yet defeated the alien forces, but it had shown remarkable resilience. The small planet that had been considered weak and chaotic was now demonstrating qualities that the galaxy had underestimated. intelligence, adaptability, creativity, and courage. The first wave of fear had passed, replaced by cautious determination. Humans now realized that the anomalies were not natural disasters. They were a sign of a larger presence. But fear was tempered with hope, and despair with ingenuity. The stage was set for the next phase of conflict, a phase that would test humans' limits and prove to the galaxy that Earth's inhabitants were not to be underestimated. In quiet towns and bustling cities alike, humans continued their lives with new awareness. They observed the skies, shared knowledge, and prepared in small ways for the challenges ahead. The planet had been judged, threatened, and tested, but humanity was far from defeated. The Alien Council watched carefully, noting every adaptation, every act of resilience, and every clever response. They began to realize that what they had expected to be a simple conquest might become one of the most difficult undertakings in galactic history. And as the humans continued to adapt, learn, and unite, the galaxy began to understand a truth it had not anticipated. Earth was more formidable than anyone had imagined. The alien ships had been hovering in the skies for weeks. Their massive forms blocked sunlight, creating shadows that stretched across cities and countrysides. People stared upward in disbelief, unable to comprehend their size. Some thought the world was ending. Others were filled with awe at the strange, shining structures. The aliens still had not attacked directly. They did not need to. Their presence alone caused fear, confusion, and chaos. But humanity was beginning to respond, and the first real confrontation was about to unfold. In the early days of the alien arrival, humans had relied on observation and avoidance. They tried to understand patterns, predict movements, and prepare for emergencies. Now they realized that these strategies alone would not be enough. The aliens were testing them deliberately, probing for weaknesses. Small communities, military teams, and independent engineers began to organize. Communication networks were established, allowing cities and countries to share information quickly. It was a coordinated effort, something the aliens had not fully anticipated. The first direct engagement happened near a coastal city, where a massive ship hovered silently above the harbor. The humans below were ready, not with weapons capable of destroying the alien vessel, but with ingenuity and planning. They created decoys, using drones and reflective materials to mislead the alien sensors. They set up EMP devices, hoping to disrupt any scanning or tracking systems. Every move was carefully calculated, based on observations of the alien patterns. When the alien ship activated a scanning beam, it passed harmlessly through decoy drones, missing its intended targets. Humans watched, surprised at the success but also tense with fear. The aliens did not retreat immediately. Instead, they adjusted, studying the human responses. Every interaction was a test of adaptability, and humans were proving that they could learn quickly, even under pressure. Scientists in labs far from the coastal city worked tirelessly. They analyzed energy patterns, electromagnetic signals, and unusual gravitational readings caused by the alien ships. Their goal was to predict the next move, to give humanity an advantage. Engineers developed tools to shield communication systems and protect power grids from interference. Even ordinary citizens contributed, following instructions to create barriers, relay messages, and maintain calm in their communities. As the days passed, humans became bolder. They learned to anticipate the alien tactics and counter them in creative ways. Some cities used mirrors and sunlight to confuse sensors, creating temporary blind spots for the massive ships. Others developed underground shelters and safe zones to protect large populations. The aliens, who had expected immediate submission, were increasingly frustrated. Every attack, every probe, every intimidation tactic was met with clever resistance. In the Alien Council reports from observers began to raise concern. Humans were not behaving like a weak species that could be easily controlled. Instead, they were adaptive, resilient, and capable of coordinated action. Some council members whispered to each other, expressing disbelief. "They are learning too fast," said one, its form flickering like electricity. No other species has ever responded so quickly to such pressure. Meanwhile, humanity's courage and unity became more apparent. Communities shared food, medical supplies, and information. Teachers and parents educated children on safety measures, while scientists briefed governments and emergency teams on patterns observed from alien activity. People who had never met before found themselves working together toward a common goal: survival. In the chaos, humans discovered strengths they did not know they had, and a sense of determination spread like wildfire across the planet. One of the most surprising developments was the creativity of human tactics. The aliens expected predictable defenses, rigid structures, and easy targets. Instead, humans used imagination and intuition. They created false signals to mislead alien sensors, constructed makeshift shields from everyday materials, and even manipulated reflections and shadows to confuse targeting systems. Each small victory inspired hope and courage in people across the globe. As humans became more confident, some began to observe the alien technology directly. Using improvised observation tools, they studied the ship's energy emissions and patterns of movement. They discovered that the aliens relied on careful monitoring and analysis of human reactions. The more predictable humans appeared, the easier they were to control. This knowledge led to a critical realization: unpredictability was their greatest strength. By acting in ways that the aliens could not anticipate, humans could gain the upper hand, or at least level the playing field. In the skies above major cities, human ingenuity clashed with alien technology. Drones moved in coordinated formations, creating interference patterns that made targeting difficult. EMP pulses disrupted sensors temporarily, while strategically placed mirrors and reflective materials altered the alien scanning beams. The massive ships, silent and seemingly invincible, were met with strategies that had never been seen in the galaxy before. Amid this unfolding struggle, leaders emerged. Scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens stepped forward to coordinate responses. Military generals, often accustomed to conventional warfare, adapted to unconventional strategies, combining tactical knowledge with improvisation. The planet was no longer passive. It was active, learning, and fighting back. The first major success came when an alien scanning probe was neutralized using a combination of decoys and EMP interference. The ship adjusted its position, and for the first time, observers from the Council admitted that Earth might be more resilient than expected. In communication channels, subtle debates broke out. Some Council members urged caution, arguing that Earth could still be subdued. Others expressed doubt, concerned that humans were not only surviving but learning faster than any species should. Despite these victories, humanity knew that the war was far from over. The alien ships remained above, testing, observing, and calculating. The humans below were determined to resist, to adapt, and to continue learning. Every encounter became a lesson, and every lesson brought new strength. Fear was still present, but it was tempered by growing confidence. Humans were discovering that unity, creativity, and courage could stand against even the most advanced technologies. By the end of this period, the balance of power had shifted in unexpected ways. The aliens had expected Earth to be an easy conquest, a weak and chaotic planet to be controlled with minimal effort. Instead, humans had shown resilience, intelligence, and adaptability. The first real confrontation had not resulted in victory for either side, but it had proven that humanity could stand against forces far greater than themselves. The Council continued to monitor, some with concern and some with frustration. The initial assumption that humans could be quickly subdued was being questioned. Unpredictable, courageous, and creative, humanity had forced the galaxy to reconsider its judgment. The stage was set for the next phase, where the aliens would need to rethink their strategy, and humans would be pushed to the limits of their ingenuity and courage. Through it all, humans adapted, learned, and survived. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and a seemingly invincible force, yet they continued to rise to the challenge. The first confrontation had ended, but the war for Earth's freedom and future was only beginning. And in every city, village, and rural town, people prepared for the battles yet to come, knowing that their greatest weapon was their ability to think, to learn, and to act together. The alien ships remained above Earth, but now the world was no longer frozen in fear. Humanity had begun to adapt, and the first confrontations had shown that the planet's people were not as helpless as the Council believed. Still, the threat was enormous. The ships were vast, their technology unmatched, and their patience seemed endless. Yet humans had something the aliens could not fully measure: determination mixed with creativity. In every corner of Earth, preparations were being made. Governments worked with scientists, engineers, and even ordinary citizens. Rival nations that had once fought over resources and politics were suddenly talking to each other. Borders that had divided people for centuries were slowly dissolving in the face of a common challenge. Humanity was uniting in a way that had seemed impossible before the ships appeared in the sky. Factories began to shift production. Instead of consumer goods, they built equipment designed to disrupt alien technology. Universities turned into research centers, where students and professors worked side by side to create new defenses. Farmers and workers contributed by supplying resources, food, and shelter for those displaced from cities. Everyone had a role, and everyone felt the weight of responsibility. The aliens, watching closely, increased their efforts. They created stronger disruptions, shutting down power across entire regions. At night, vast areas of Earth went dark, with only stars and the glow of alien ships illuminating the skies. But even this became an opportunity. Humans rediscovered old methods of communication: signal fires, handwritten notes, and coded light signals across hills and towers. In the absence of electricity, creativity thrived. In one region, a group of engineers discovered a way to reflect the aliens' scanning beams using layered mirrors and metals. This allowed communities to shield themselves temporarily, confusing the massive ships hovering overhead. In another place, fishermen at sea used reflective water surfaces to scatter alien signals, creating blind zones where human boats could move freely. These were small victories, but each one carried enormous symbolic power. Military teams began to coordinate more daring missions. They launched drones, balloons, and small aircraft into the skies, not to destroy the alien ships, but to distract and confuse them. Some carried decoys, others carried reflective materials, and a few were even loaded with improvised devices to release bursts of electromagnetic energy. While the alien ships remained mostly untouched, their movements became slower, more cautious. Humanity had forced them to adjust. Reports spread quickly, giving people hope. In towns and cities, families who had once been terrified now found courage in the stories of human ingenuity. A single successful defense against an alien scan gave thousands of people strength. Communities learned to adapt together, creating networks of trust and cooperation. Hope spread across the planet like a quiet but unstoppable wave. In the Alien Council, frustration grew. The decision to enslave Earth had seemed simple. The vote had been unanimous. Yet now, the planet was proving difficult. The humans did not simply surrender. They resisted, and their resistance was unlike anything the Council had seen before. Their unpredictability made them dangerous. One alien representative said, "They turn weakness into strength. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. This is not natural." Still, the Council insisted on pressing forward. Stronger measures were prepared. Ships deployed new forms of pressure, creating storms and disturbances in Earth's atmosphere. Communication satellites were disabled completely, leaving only the most primitive signals available to humans. But once again, humanity adapted. People built networks of runners, cyclists, and even birds trained to carry messages. Old radio towers were reactivated, and communities began transmitting through frequencies the aliens had overlooked. Humanity's persistence was exhausting to its enemies. The battles were not always victories. Some cities fell under direct alien control, their technology overwhelmed and their defenses scattered. People were captured and studied, though most were later released as the aliens tried to learn more about human nature. Families were displaced and fear never disappeared entirely. Yet even in defeat, humans learned. Every captured device, every failed defense, every destroyed system became a new lesson. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technology, but its ability to improve through failure. By now, Earth was no longer the same. People were united in a way they had never been. Farmers, teachers, soldiers, and scientists all worked together, sharing knowledge and resources. The aliens had wanted to weaken humanity by creating fear, but instead they had created something stronger: unity. For the first time in history, the entire planet moved with one purpose. The stage was set for a turning point. Humanity was not ready to launch a full counterattack, but it had prepared defenses stronger than ever before. The Alien Council watched, carefully, unsure of what would happen next. What had started as an attempt to enslave Earth had turned into an unpredictable struggle. The aliens were powerful, but the humans were becoming something the galaxy had not expected. A species that could turn fear into strength and chaos into strategy. The world waited, tense but unbroken. Humanity had survived the storm, learned from defeat, and prepared for the next phase. The final test was approaching, and both sides knew it would decide not only the fate of Earth but the balance of power across the galaxy. The final confrontation began quietly. There was no sudden attack, no single spark that started the battle. Instead, both sides moved cautiously, watching, preparing, waiting for the other to make a mistake. The alien ships remained above Earth, massive and silent. Below, humanity prepared its defenses, knowing that the next move could decide everything. For months, humans had studied alien patterns, energy signals, and weaknesses. Though the aliens' technology was beyond human imagination, it was not perfect. Every machine had limits and every system could fail under the right pressure. Humanity's greatest advantage was not superior power, but the ability to strike in unexpected ways. The first sign of change came when a fleet of alien ships tried to disable Earth's largest cities simultaneously. Massive beams of energy targeted power stations, water systems, and transport hubs. The aliens expected chaos. Instead, they found resistance. Hidden underground, human-built shielding devices activated, absorbing and deflecting much of the energy. Cities did not collapse. Lights stayed on. Water continued to flow. The aliens were shocked. At the same time, human forces launched coordinated distractions. Drones, balloons, and aircraft swarmed the skies, releasing flares and reflective particles that confused alien sensors. On the ground, communities launched small but effective countermeasures: improvised EMPs, mirrored shields, and energy diversions. The aliens' precise calculations were thrown into disorder by the sheer unpredictability of human creativity. In one dramatic moment, a small human team managed to temporarily disable an alien probe, capturing fragments of its technology. Scientists rushed to study it, discovering clues about the energy systems the aliens relied on. Within days, new defenses were created based on these fragments. The aliens realized that every piece of technology they exposed became fuel for humanity's growth. The council was in disarray. Reports flooded in from across the fleet. "They are not collapsing," said one frustrated representative. "They are rising. Every attempt to weaken them makes them stronger." Another replied, "This is not war, it is survival. They are teaching themselves at a pace that defies logic." On Earth, the people felt the shift. Fear had not vanished, but hope was now stronger. For the first time, humanity believed that victory was possible. Children who once cried at the sight of alien ships now pointed at them with defiance. Families who had once hidden in fear now stood together, sharing food, knowledge, and courage. Humanity had found its spirit, and it was unbreakable. The final stage of the conflict came not with destruction but with recognition. The aliens realized that further escalation would not succeed. They could destroy cities, but humans would rebuild. They could disable technology, But humans would find alternatives. They could frighten, but they could not break. The cost of enslaving Earth had become too high, even for the galaxy's most advanced species. Slowly, the ships retreated, not in defeat of power, but in recognition of resilience. The Council, once united in its vote, was now divided. Some admitted their mistake. Others feared the consequences of allowing humans to remain free. But the truth was clear. Earth had proven itself. The planet that was once judged weak had brought the galaxy to its knees, not with weapons, but with unity, courage, and relentless determination. On Earth, people watched the skies clear. The massive ships vanished into the stars, leaving silence behind. There were no celebrations at first, only relief, exhaustion, and quiet reflection. Humanity had faced its greatest trial and survived. Slowly, joy spread across the world. People embraced, cried, and sang. They had not only defended their home, but also earned the respect of powers far greater than themselves. The legacy of the confrontation was deeper than survival. Humanity had discovered its true strength, the ability to stand together, to learn, and to adapt. Nations that had once fought bitterly now shared knowledge and trust. Communities that had been strangers now treated each other like family. The world had changed forever, not only because of the alien threat, but because of the way humanity had risen to face it. The story spread across the galaxy. Other species heard of Earth, the small blue planet that could not be broken. To some, it was a warning. Never underestimate humans. To others, it was a source of respect and admiration. Earth had not only defended itself, but had also proven a truth the galaxy had forgotten. That strength comes not only from power, but from courage, unity, and creativity. And so, the planet once chosen for enslavement stood free. The humans, who had been judged reckless and dangerous, became something greater in the eyes of the galaxy, a force that could not be ignored, a people who could not be broken. The vote of the Council had been reversed, not by negotiation or fear, but by resilience. Every species had once voted to enslave Earth. Now they lowered their heads in recognition, for they had learned a lesson they would never forget. Humanity was not to be underestimated.